By memorizing Scripture, I have found that it is or could be a source of comfort, has been a source of comfort in times of need. And I'd like to share with you a story that happened to my sister. My older sister had cancer, a tumor on her brain, and was in the hospital and had to go in on a Saturday for surgery. Well, they had prepared her for surgery, and she was on the gurney, and the nurse who was helping must have thought that she was asleep or heavily sedated. And the nurse was complaining, I had to come back this Saturday to work. My sister opened her eyes and said, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." So if you have it in, eventually it's going to come out. Well, that nurse just was stunned. She later told the family about what had happened and what that meant to her. So she heard the word, and I'm sure that there was a life change. So that's another song that I learned. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm sure if we had time, we could sing that. Well, then at school, keep in mind it was a segregated school, I had teachers who, I saw Bibles on their desk, and they read Bible stories to us early in the morning. And as I became a teacher myself, I thought, they must have read the Scripture to us to get us centered for the day. And not a meal did we have at school without having prayer. And some people said, oh, they've taken prayer out of schools. Maybe so, but I bet on the days of test, what are students saying? Lord, help me. My introduction to Lutheran worship was through a professor here at this university, back then it was college, Dr. Wade Franklin Hook. And I bet some of you were some of his students. Well, my husband was a student here, and in Dr. Hook's class, he invited the class to attend a Lutheran worship service, and I know it must have been in Startown. And I went along with my husband. If the word awesome had been the word of the day, I would have said, how awesome for me to participate in a liturgical worship service. I just said, wow. There was a public confession. Now, in my growing up years, people confessed, but it was individual, but a public confession. Also, the liturgy. As I listened to people read the liturgy, I thought, that's Scripture. That's Scripture. Another way of dwelling in the Word. Well, on the way back to Morganton that evening, my husband and I did a lot of talking. And I said, I think I had grown up in the Baptist tradition, and he was in the Methodist tradition, but he came with me to the Baptist, and he said, I can't take it, so I went with him to the Methodist. So I said, I think I could be happy attending a Lutheran church, and fortunately, Calvary Lutheran in Morganton was there, and that's where we began. And what a journey it has been. Didn't take us long to become the youth leaders there. And throughout the past 40 years, though, I have been from Calvary Lutheran to St. James Lutheran in Fayetteville, and there I had the opportunity to work with the pastor on Saturday mornings, teaching the children confirmation classes. Never getting away from the Word. But it's the women of the it's the women of the Lutheran Church women that takes you back to where I began. And women of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Now, my situation is different because I was in a congregation for 16 years without a full-time pastor, and many of this church staff has heard my complaints and seen me cry and all, because I was missing out on a shepherd and someone to help me better understand worship. Better understand the Word. But in the women's organization, I've had the chance to do Bible studies, retreats, at our gatherings, and committee work, not only in North Carolina, but I've had the opportunity to do work church-wide, and what a blessing it has been for me. And if you, ladies, if you are not involved with the women of the ELCA, I invite you, I encourage you to please come, taste, and see what God is doing through the women of the ELCA. And Kathy, that was not a plug for you. Through the years, serving as a Sunday school teacher and assisting with confirmation classes enabled me to dwell in the Word. There are opportunities for everyone here to be embraced by the words, if we will only listen to God's call. In closing, another song. Let others see Jesus in you, or me in you. Let others see Jesus in me and you. Keep telling the story. Be faithful and true. Let others see Jesus in you. And yesterday at the workshop, yesterday morning, we had the question about where do you see God? I looked at the pastor sitting next to me, I said, in your eyes, so we can see God in others. So I invite you to do the best that you can be, and please dwell in the Word. Thank you.